This video is sponsored by Bright Cellars. I know, you've heard about umami a lot. You're probably tired of it. I'm tired of it too. At least I was. Until I stumbled across a little morsel of knowledge that has totally changed how I think about and achieve umami. This is MinuteFood. Okay, so what I've heard over and over is that glutamate, a specific type of amino acid in your food, triggers a taste known as umami, which roughly translates as yummy or savory. It's basically the taste of deliciousness. So lots of glutamates equals lots of deliciousness. And while that is technically true, this understanding of umami leaves out a critical part of the equation, one that can boost a food's umami-liciousness by up to 30 times. First, you've got to understand how we actually taste umami. Let's start with umami receptors, which, depending on your gaming loyalties, look either like Pac-Man or piranha plants. My kids are super into Mario right now, so we are going with piranha plants. Anyway, in its normal state, the piranha plant is open. But when a glutamate molecule from whatever you're eating settles into that hinge in the middle, the receptor chomps down on it. And this closed position triggers a signal that causes us to experience that heavenly taste we know and love. The more glutamates a food has, the more piranha plants chomp closed, the more signals get sent, and the more umami we experience. But here's where that basic understanding starts falling short. Because even in this closed position, the piranha plant isn't actually all that closed. There's another, even more closed position it can be in. And in this position, the receptor triggers a much stronger umami signal. The way to achieve this even more closed position is by adding molecules that can kind of glue the lips of the piranha plant together. Nucleotides, the very same organic molecules that encode information in the form of DNA and RNA. Predominantly two specific nucleotides, IMP and GMP. When a free molecule of IMP binds to the piranha plant along with glutamate, the umami signal sent to your brain is up to 8 times stronger than when glutamate binds alone, and the umami sensation lasts about 1/3 longer. When it's a GMP molecule, an even better glue, the umami signal is as much as 30 times stronger than glutamate alone. This multiplicative effect, known as umami synergy, has totally changed how I think about umami. Because while you do need glutamates to create umami, the piranha plant won't chomp and therefore won't trigger the signal in response to nucleotides alone. If you're going for big umami taste, it's nucleotides, not glutamates, that have the biggest effect. The good news is that you're already putting umami synergy to use, even if you don't know it. Many classic foods like bacon and eggs, spaghetti and meatballs, beef and broccoli, Caesar salad, cheeseburgers, and 𝗀𝗃, basically the foundation of Japanese cuisine, they all contain a combination of glutamates and nucleotides. Not because whoever cooked them up had any knowledge of umami synergy, but because that multiplicative effect is so powerful that when we've blindly stumbled upon it, the results have tasted so good that they've become instant classics. But just because you're already using umami synergy accidentally doesn't mean you can't use it better. You've got to know what foods are rich in free glutamates and the right kind of nucleotides. Pair those up and boom. There's actually an online database of this stuff. And we've also put together a gorgeous printable guide that you can get by joining our Patreon community. But here are some good rules of thumb. First, glutamates. Glutamates are the G in MSG, so these little white crystals are one really easy way to add glutamates to your food. MSG is a video topic in and of itself that I'm not going to get into here, but I will link to some good resources in the description. As far as stuff we more typically think of as foods, the undisputed champion of glutamate is seaweed, specifically kombu. Gram for gram, this unassuming looking kelp contains more free glutamates than any other food. The next god tier of glutamates contains aged cheeses like Parmigiano Reggiano, fermented stuff like soy sauce, miso, and fish sauce, and yeast products like nutritional yeast and Vegemite. These foods are all packed with free glutamates because the processing, aging, and fermenting they undergo releases glutamates bound up in proteins, making them accessible to our umami receptors. Then there's mushrooms, specifically dried shiitake, walnuts, tomatoes, broccoli, lentils, and garlic. There are some meats and seafood high on the list, like prosciutto, clams, scallops, and oysters. But plants and fungi are generally richer in free glutamates than animal products. When it comes to nucleotides, though, animal products shine, especially those from the sea. Living things get energy from a molecule called ATP, and the breakdown of ATP forms free nucleotides. glutamate. Animals use more energy than plants, so animal products tend to contain more free nucleotides. And since sea dwellers in particular burn lots and lots of energy swimming and staying warm, many of them are basically bursting with nucleotides, specifically IMP. Preserved fish like bonito flakes are even higher in IMP since all those nucleotides are super concentrated. But don't despair, vegetarians. You can find GMP, the even more effective umami multiplier, in dried mushrooms and nutritional yeast. These foods, along with some animal proteins, actually contain a good balance of nucleotides and glutamates. So even on their own, they're super umami-y. But other foods need to be paired up to make umami synergy happen. The synergy is strongest when the ratio of free glutamates to nucleotides is 1:1. That way, every receptor is sending out the strongest umami signal possible. So if you are really interested in maxing out your food's umami potential, you can try to match up the free glutamate content in your food with the IMP and GMP levels. But to me, this seems like an exercise in futility. I found pretty big discrepancies for different ingredients, thanks to how they're made or even what parts of them you use. Heck, your saliva even contains low levels of glutamates that you'd have to account for. So I'm not going to spend my precious time in the kitchen fiddling with a scale and a calculator to boost the umami in what I cook. But I am going to pin this list on my fridge so that I can be more conscious of how I can pair up foods, and drinks too, in a way that takes advantage of this weird and wonderful multiplicative effect. Oh, and mushrooms. I am always going to add more dried mushrooms. Okay, I know I blew through that mention of drinks at the end really quickly, but drinks can be a great source of glutamates. Not enough to taste savory on their own, but when sipped alongside foods rich in nucleotides, the synergy can create tons of umami. Think champagne with oysters and red wine with steak. I recently started experimenting with a bunch of new wines via Bright Cellars. Bright Cellars ships you a batch of their wines every month based on your personal tastes. They totally nailed my preferences, which I didn't expect since the quiz is so deceptively simple. Each shipment comes with these cards that tell you where the wines are from, what flavors you might notice, and my favorite part? Some foods to pair with them. Everything about it makes buying wine fun and approachable, especially for people kind of new to wine. Which I love because eating and drinking good stuff doesn't have to be hard. If you subscribe to Bright Cellars now using the link on screen or in the description, you'll get $100 off and a free wine tote. And as a bonus, you'll be supporting MinuteFood. So check it out and get started today.